Hey everyone, today we're going to talk about text in Unity. So what actually is text? Well, text is basically an object that displays text graphically on the screen. So we're going to start by creating a text component. So under our hierarchy here, let's right click and hit UI. And we want to add, now we're not going to see text, we're going to see text mesh pro, which we're going to cover in the next video. But what we want to do is go under legacy and hit text. Now the reason this text is under legacy is because Unity are trying to get people to move to Text Mesh Pro because all in all it has more features than text and you can do more with it. But I thought to learn how it all works, we'll start with the legacy text just so we can get the basics and then we can add to it in the next video when we talk about Text Mesh Pro. So under legacy, let's add text. And here we go, we now have some legacy text in here. We've got a few things in here, a couple of things to play around with, but it's not hard at all. So I'm going to start by just putting this in the center of the screen. If you remember, we've recently covered Rex transforms. If you haven't seen that video, I really recommend you go watch it. I'm just going to make this a bit bigger, maybe 500 by like 120, and we'll go from here. Now you'll see here it says new text. It's really small, but we're going to come back to that. By default, the text is always going to say new text. So let's have a look under our text. Let me close everything else up here. Let's have a look under our text component. So we actually have a text like base here, and this is the text that you want to be displayed. So if we change this to hello world, you'll see down here it says hello world. And we can set the text in here. Now we can also script text. I'm not going to cover scripting in this series because obviously it's a bit more advanced. Not every this is just pure UI. But to change it within code, you would use something like you would reference the text, use .text to set the text. I'll put an example on the screen now for how you would change the text via code. But if you want to learn that, I can do a series on scripting in C# and Unity, but that's not something I'm going to focus on right now, maybe in the future. But if you guys want that, let me know and I can make it a priority. So I'm just going to leave this as hello world, and under character we've got quite a few little options. The font, that is the font of the font of the text. So you'll see we only have legacy runtime. If we want more fonts, we're going to have to add them. So to add a new font, you're going to want the font you have. So I'm going to add an Arial font here. I've got this downloaded on my computer. So if you have a font you want to add, you're going to drag it into the assets, and it'll add it at the bottom. And that is your font. Now I'm not going to play around with these settings. I'm just going to head up to my text, and you'll see now when I click this, I have Arial. And I can run between Arial and Legacy Runtime. I think they are the same font, but we can change the fonts now. So you can add your own fonts by dragging them into the assets folder. Next we have the font style. Now this is the style of your font. So you've got italic, bold, if it's normal, but if we put italic, for example, it will be all italics. I'm just going to leave that normal. The font size is the size of the font, so I can set this to maybe 54, and it's going to be a bit bigger. And the line spacing, this is the space between lines. So if I drop down in this text and add a new line and say hi again or something like that, let me just make the size a bit smaller. If I change the line spacing to 2, you'll see it's adding more to the space in between. So this is just the space between each line. If we have that as 0, they're going to be on the same line. 10, they're going to be very far apart. I'll leave that at 1 as well. And next we've got rich text. Now rich text is a little bit more advanced, but this means that UI elements can incorporate multiple font styles. So for example, I'm going to remove the hi again. We can change the color of one word of the code. So we are going to come to the color. There's color down here. Well, if we change this, it changes the whole entire text to that color. So for example, if I make that yellow, all the text changes to yellow. But if we want to change just one word, what we can do is hard code it in. using something very similar to HTML. It's inspired by HTML, but it's not compatible with standard HTML. So it's not quite the same thing, but it's very similar to HTML. So you need your left pointy bracket, your less than sign, your whatever you want to call it. I don't actually know what the technical name for these symbols are. And then color, that is COLOR, equals, and then your color, so I'm going to say green. World, and then at the end of world, before the exclamation mark, I'm going to put that left angle bracket again, / color, and then the right one. And now you'll see the word world has gone green. I can make that blue. Now we've got hello world and it's blue. But if we turn rich text off, you'll see it doesn't do that, and it just adds that text. So rich text allows you to incorporate these multiple font styles. And color's only one of them. There's so many you can do. There's loads of different. This is just one example. Next, we're going to talk about alignment. This one's really easy. So far left, middle, far right. So far left, middle, far right. And this is that's your X alignment, and this is your Y alignment. So top, so let me put that in the middle. Top, middle, bottom. So top, middle, bottom. Let's put that in the middle so it's right at the center of the screen. Align by geometry, we're not going to go over that because I've never had to use it, so I'm not sure it really does much. But I'm not too sure. We're just going to skip over that. I couldn't find anything about it either. Horizontal overflow, so we've got wrap or overflow. So if I add loads and loads and loads of text, just like loads of exclamation marks, you'll see it wraps it all, so it adds it to new lines. But if we don't want it to add new lines and we just want it to keep going outside the bounds of the box, obviously if we make this longer it's all going to fit. But if we've got like a set box size and we want it to still stay on the same line, we can set that rather than wrap to overflow, and it will just overflow. And to leave that at wrap. And as for the vertical, so let me remove these. If we just add a few lines like A, B, C, D, E, F, if we truncate it, it's just going to cut any lines out of this area out. But if we change this to overflow, it's just going to overflow them. Best fit is going to adjust the size of the text automatically to be the best fit for the size of the object. So if I tick this, you're going to see this, regardless of the font size, this is going to get bigger. It's going to get the biggest it possibly can get while still fitting in the box, like so. If we made this any bigger, or we can change the minimum and maximum size. So if I said like maximum 80 or 100 or 1,000 or 10, whatever, 100,000, it's only going to fill the box. It's never going to go bigger than that. If I made the max size 30, it won't ever go bigger than 30. The color, we've already covered that. It's just the color of the whole thing. Now, if I change this now, everything's going to change but the word world, because we've hard-coded that with a similar to HTML language. Material, we've covered that previously. Raycast target, we've covered that previously. Padding, covered that. And maskable, we've covered that. So that is it for text. It's really not that difficult. You've just got your text component, so like what text is actually being displayed. You've got loads of different settings to play around with your text, and your alignment, and your color, and that's about it really. That's all there is to talk about with text. Next video we're going to cover Text Mesh Pro Text, which is going to be a bit more advanced. We're going to cover a bit more. It probably will be a longer video, but at least we've now covered the very basics. There's not much to say more about text. So have fun, just play around with it, see what kind of texts you can, come up with. I guess, I don't know, maybe you can make like a text game. Obviously, if you don't know scripting, it might be difficult, but maybe research some like how to change different components of text in script, and maybe learn a bit of that. Other than that, there's not really much more to it. So thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you found the video helpful. Next video we're going to cover Text Mesh Pro Text, so I'll see you then, and goodbye.